Oh, look, it's Filipina Pea.
Aw, looks
You got
pretty
a pea
sweet.
shirt.
And he's got his tropical shirt. All right, it
Yeah,
matches. Look at you.
yeah. Let's do. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Aw. All right. Well, hello and welcome to our channel today. Our interview today will be with, we have Imperial Brown, formerly known as the Blues Man, Charlie Brown, Anwar Bilal Kinte. And may I ask real quick, is that a salam alaikum?
Yeah,
Are you,
yeah,
and was,
sure. I will return the greetings of Walaikum Salam if you say that.
thank you. And born in the 60s, a great era, an era that was marked by the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, anti-war protests, countercultural movements, political assassinations, unfortunately, and the emerging generation gap. Is that what they call the baby boomers?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah,
Woodstock, the first landing on the moon, and the Detroit riots.
that's right.
It was a great time to be born. If I could go back, it would be somewhere in the 70s. If I
Okay.
had a time machine, I probably would go to the 60s. And so great time to be born. Um, please tell us about your different names. You do have a few different names. So,
All right. Well, again, my legal government name is Anwar Bilal Kente.
okay.
I'm being probably most well known in the Philippines by my alias Geechee Lion.
Geechee
I
Lion.
got that name possibly to reflect my Geechee heritage. I have my great grandfather Nathan McKelvin, understand, was from the South Carolina Islands, and he was a Geechee. And
Okay.
I was partially raised by his daughter, my grandmother Alma McKelvin Scania. Shout out to her. I lived with her and my grandfather David for my college years. I went
Okay.
to stay with them.
Yeah. What
Yes,
is,
and
sorry, explain to me what Geechee is for the people. Because remember, we're talking to the group of people. So,
sure, okay. Well, if you look, Geechee is a group I would say of African people or African people who were brought to the southeast coast of America, United States at that time. And our primary occupation there, actually, I almost want to say ironically, is we were brought here to cultivate rice.
okay.
So we actually tended, the Geechee were the best tenders, cultivators of rice. And I think I was told that at one time, the Geechee produced more rice than China.
Okay.
So I understand that rice is very popular out there in the Philippines.
Right.
I've always enjoyed rice. I'd always have my rice and soup, and
Oh, man.
I still eat my rice today. Mostly it's brown rice, but I am a rice man. So that was just something about that. But if you think of the Geechees, you're talking about South Carolina, Georgia, Florida is where you had them. If you look up American history, you probably hear about the Geechee American Wars, where they sided with the natives that were here in several war skirmishes here. And what you had is, in some places, you had like the ex-slave or the enslaved were running away to the north.
Uh-huh.
And that you had them running to the south so they can join up with the Native American forces, in arms, if you will. So
Gotcha.
that is something that, anybody that is very interested about the Geechee people. So I'm proud to use that name. And Geechee Lion, of course, Lion stands for Leo the Lion, which is my zodiac sign. I'm a Leo.
Okay.
Okay. And that's why I got Geechee Lion. Imperial Brown is one of my professional musicians' names that I adopted 3 years ago. I was attending a yoga class event. That was when I took about 20 months or so. I was going every week. I was taking 2 or 3 yoga classes a week. And it was being conducted by a young lady who happened to work as a model. Sometimes she did it in the nude. Uh, but she was a yoga instructor, and she invited me out to one of her events on the south side of Chicago. It was at a brewery slash bar set up where they had many types of beers and ale. And one item that they offered on this menu was called Imperial Brown. And
Okay.
as I was discussing this, chatting with one of the attendees, she found out that I had dabbled in music, and she said, "Oh, Imperial Brown would be a good name for a musician." So
Yeah.
from that point on, I started using the name Imperial Brown.
Okay. What part of the United States do you live in?
I am in Chicago, which I
Okay.
can see they call it the Windy City. I call it the home of the rats. Not only the physical animal rats, but the human rats.
I hear
Uh,
you, man.
in Chicago, the home of the rats.
It's a big rat race right now in the United States for
It's a rat
multiple
race.
reasons: the
Yeah,
dating, the women, the culture, and the rat race of keeping up with people. And
yeah,
is that what they refer to the Matrix there, George?
yeah.
I don't know what
It's
the matrix. I'm not like really into that matrix thing, but that's what it actually feels like. So
yeah,
once you
it's a
get that freedom of retiring and moving somewhere else where nobody competes here, there's not people competing with fancy cars, and people are nice. The women are nice. It's like being in the '80s again. Tell me
yeah.
what you do for a living, Geechee, or go ahead and
I am,
quick one.
and this is a good lead in.
Okay.
I'm an accountant by trade,
Okay.
and I'm currently still an accountant now. But part of the reason why I chose accounting is because I was very good in math. Matter
Okay.
of fact, math and Spanish were my best two subjects when I was in high school. Math and Spanish. Think of that. But part of mathematics is the concept of the matrix. And
Okay.
what the matrix is something, it's almost like a function machine. So any number that you put in this matrix, it will transform it into something else. So if you have a matrix that's a multiplication function of two, if you put two into that function machine, you will get four. If you put four in there, you'll get eight. So if you think about the matrix here in the world here, the matrix is a system that the people travel through, the societal, what have you. And those in that matrix are going to be affected by the functionality that's going on within that matrix. And
Okay.
as you know, the matrix does not work very well for certain people here.
No, I hear you, man. I definitely hear
Yeah,
you.
tell us about Geechee Lion Music and how it started.
Yeah, it's time. It's about time for the interview.
Geechee Line, okay, I told you kind of how I got the name. I kind of adopted the name about 3 years ago. So it was basically just Geechee Line LLC at that time. But then, because I had already been doing music, I've been doing music since the 70s, actually, under Kente Dynasty. But Geechee Lion Music just was a natural outgrowth of my business activities, which I really did not start until about January of 2020. I resumed after a long hiatus. I hadn't been doing music for almost 30 years because I lost the spirit, depression, anxiety, all that stuff. I was just totally dead. I did nothing.
Right.
But certain factors and certain people and circumstances came up around 3 years ago that brought me back to life. And I'll be glad to tell you about that.
Are you going to tell us about it?
Sure. I will say that one thing that kind of started me, you know, that I identify myself as a passport brother.
Yes, sir.
And when I say passport brother, I'm saying somebody that has a passport and has actually used it or really want to use it to go out of the country.
Yes.
So about December 2017, that was my first trip out of the U.S. And I went to Mexico. I went to Los
Yes.
Cabos, Mexico. You might be familiar. I was a month away from my divorce being finalized, and I regarded it as a bucket list trip. I enjoyed it as well as I did because I did have some female companionship there. It was the official start of my journey as a passport brother, obviously, because that was the first time I used the passport. I had already thought about getting back into music, but that point really came in the summertime. I applied to volunteer at a place called Jojutla, Mexico, which is south of Mexico City. Okay. There was a major earthquake there that destroyed several school buildings. I found out about this organization called All Hands and Hearts, who is actually headed by a supermodel, Petra Lemkova. I don't know whether you've heard of her, but she's a supermodel. I actually took pictures with her. It was supposed to be a 2-week stay, but I enjoyed it so well, I extended it. And that was my first taste of province life because we were in the province of Mexico. We were not in the city. We were in the province.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a beautiful Mexican woman there. Her name was Anna. She actually had a birthday around the same time I did. It was in the month of August. My birthday, the 21st, hers was like 28th or something. And, I felt like, I don't know, we got to talking and say, hey, I want to dedicate. Let me sing a song for your birthday. That'll be my gift to you. So I actually pulled out some of my old records of a couple of songs I did. One was called Sherry. The second one was called Candy Love. And I actually have a tape of me singing to her Candy Love. She enjoyed it. And I would say starting that was the start of it. When I saw her reaction to me singing, that she was really into it. And then also during that same trip, because it was international, we had people from Europe, Asia, South America, Colombia, US, Canada coming to volunteer there. And there was a young French girl there who I was talking to, and she was very friendly to me and everything. And I told her I was a musician, and I'd stopped singing, and we got to talking. I said, one day I want to feel well enough to be on Facebook and sing karaoke every day. And she kind of encouraged me there. I said, I hope, she kind of encouraged me, yeah, you should do that. And a year later, I found myself on Facebook doing karaoke. So I would have to say that trip was the real start. Beautiful young women there, treating me with respect and, showing me some love and some concern and giving me the time of day.
Right.
Not treating me like I'm a weirdo or piece of crap or whatever, like I found in America. So that really was the initial start.
No, and you're absolutely right about that. When I met George, he still is the sweetest person. He says nice things. He tells me how beautiful I am. He's attentive. He's intelligent. And that's something that I enjoy. We lived out in the province too, in Mexico, for 6 months before we came here. So we was out in the mountains near Chignahuampa, near Puebla. So we went through Puebla down through the Texas border. Tell me, Geechee, about when you plan to come to the Philippines and as your retirement also.
Well, a combination of factors led to my choice to retire this year and to retire and go to the Philippines. I've always gotten along the most well, I would say, with Filipino people in general, and especially Filipinos. Matter of fact, my favorite best friend Filipina, her name is Catherine Mendoza. How about that?
Okay.
Oh, really? For real?
Right. Wow.
So, I'm going through the matrix here, I'm in my 60s, divorce, incels, no love or romance prospects, sick and tired of working for someone in horrible work environments that were akin to being in prison, like I mentioned to you before. Sick of the feminist Me Too bull crap.
Right.
Felt under attack just for being a man who likes women. It has been here. During that time, I started to take another closer look at the Philippines. I looked back over my so-called life, and I thought of those relatively good relationships I had with Filipinos. I had Filipino doctors. I was in the healthcare field, so I met Filipino nurses. Catherine Mendoza's a nurse. I got along very well with them. The yoga organization that I was telling you about was headed by a Filipina.
Okay.
And she actually gave me my jump start to Geechee music because I dropped off some of the staff. It was supposed to be a staff-only party at her place. But she found out that I drove some of the staff there. She invited me to come in. And at that place, it was a dinner, good food, Filipino food. And of course, she had a big screen TV with karaoke. And that was just set up just for me. So I remember I did After the Loving by Engelbert Humperdinck and Elvis Presley. Me tender, love me sweet. So that was right up my alley. But that Filipina treated me so well. And I mean, that really started me really going, in the music direction. But all the stuff around here, like I said, my only choice to me to have a life is to go to the Philippines. That just based on it's not just an emotional decision. It comes after a lot of thought. So I have somebody I hear, a voice in my ear now. If you think about it, well, dear, I did think about it. And that's why I want to come to the Philippines.
I hear you. I'm looking at the questions that I actually had for you, but it looks like we've covered quite a few of them. So I'm going to move to who inspires you and gets you going in the morning, man.
Well,
mine is coffee and a donut, but
no, I don't do. I'm more of a tea man, but even then,
we do.
I'm going to say this honestly: any inspiration I get comes from the power of God. That being said, I would say I've been more motivated to be a certain way than I was inspired. There's a difference between the two. If I had to name a person who has been an inspiration, it would have to be that sweet Filipina that I have so much love for. When I think of her, I say to myself, what an awesome God to create someone like her.
Okay. Are we thinking about the same woman?
I think we are. Devastating combination.
You ain't
devastated.
wrong, man. You ain't wrong. Even I'm in
Of,
love.
of beauty,
Yep.
femininity, intelligence, compassion, humility. She endured being poor and brought herself up and persevered in spite of that. She reminds
Yes.
me of me a little bit in that respect.
Yes.
She clearly knows how to love, whether in the case of animals, people in general, and most special to me, she knows how to love her man.
There you go.
And
I'm gonna really quick, Geechee, we got about 2 minutes left in the interview, and I have to mention this. So I'll probably cut this section out. So I'm gonna wrap this up by saying, so you do plan to retire very soon. Oh, there you go.
Aw.
one of my albums. This
There you
is
go.
actually my model. She's a Filipina. Her name is Leebee ongco.
Oh,
About 3 years ago, I asked her to be a model for me, and she immediately agreed to it.
that's the one
And
I was
she's
telling you
been
about.
with me. She's been with me for about 3 years. She has her own YouTube channel.
Yes, she does.
She has about 138 subscribers. So this is big time, but she's been with me. Filipino love has been the fuel for this company.
Yes, most definitely. Will you, real quick, see if we can get these questions in. Will you be on
Sure.
a budget, and when do you plan to retire here?
I am an accountant, so you know I've done corporate budgets for 30 plus years.
Yep, I hear you.
Of course, I'm going to have a budget. Certainly getting my money together.
Gotcha.
I'm probably shortly after I retire, which is this year. I'm not playing around. I'm retiring, and I will have a budget.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's most important. We tell people, some people come here with a bunch of money and then they just blow it and then they realize something later. And, it's good that you actually have it. But Geechee, is there anything you want to wrap up this interview with? Because we really do appreciate you being here, man.
Sure. I appreciate you all too. I think you haven't been my Facebook friend for long, but you're certainly among one of the best. And like I said, you're more like family to me than some of my actual family.
I hear you, man.
I think this will just be the first of several interviews we're going to have. I'm hoping to get interviewed by Steve Johnson about.
He mentioned he did just mention you.
Imperial Brown. Steve Johnson mentioned about you heading up a movement for the Passport Brothers.
Yes, the Medicare.
Yes, that's gonna be a big thing. We can get into that on another segment when you do your healthcare.
Okay,
segment.
we could always do another interview just based on it. Yeah.
Right, because what I did was I found myself under the auspices of my job. I was in Washington, D.C.,
Cool.
lobbying for the jobs person, but I was on Capitol Hill all day in the congressional offices. And what I did was I had a form letter typed up. I really ran about a half a mile.
Wow.
To FedEx to have them make 50 copies of this letter. And I spent that whole Wednesday on Capitol Hill. I visited about 50 congressional offices personally. And I even got a chance to speak to a few of the representatives. I spoke to my own representative, Jonathan Luther Jackson, who is the son of Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson.
Wow.
I actually got a chance to speak to him personally and introduce this to him in the airport. So I've started really an offshoot of what I'm already doing, and I'm concerned about this because I'm getting to that age and to that time. I've already set up a new Facebook page. It's called the Passport Brothers, MATES, which is Medicare for the American taxpayers, expats, and soldiers.
That is awesome.
Totally dedicated to bring people together to kind of give them information on how to contact their congressperson and senator or what have you, and bring this issue to them, lobby them.
Wow.
You remember AARP? Get on AARP. So they should be hitting this very hard because Medicare and Social Security is being threatened now all the time. But my whole thing, and I did this spiel, I did it all day with 50 congressional offices I personally visit. And I told them the same thing. Hey, I've been paying these American taxes for 40 some years. You mean to tell me when I get to be 64, which I'm going to be this year, 65, or want to go out of the country, that I'm not going to be able to use my Medicare? I should be able to use that Medicare all over the world.
Right, I agree.
Military or not.
Yes. Yep, even George qualifies. He was in the United States for how long?
26 years.
26 years, and he worked that whole time, and he does qualify to collect it outside. Some have to return every 6 months, but his specifically, he'll qualify. But yes, he deserves to use the Medicare, and there's a lot of OFWs that would appreciate
That's
your
right.
movement, because a
Right,
lot of
Miss
Filipinos.
Miss Mendoza, the Filipina,
Yep.
is my friend. She's been here since like 79.
Yeah, and
But,
she deserves her insurance if she returns home. No
And
doubt.
that's what I told the congressman. I specifically mentioned her. And I said, hey, America depending on these beautiful, compassionate, caring Filipinos to come here and alleviate the nurse shortage here in this country.
Right.
And then get to the place where they may want to go back to the Philippines, like my Filipino doctor. She went back to Luzon when she retired. But of course, she was my doctor.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, Captain Mendoza, may want to go back.
Yeah, I hear you. The
They use her
Filipinos are
Medicare.
everywhere. They really are. They do a great job. They're happy. They do their jobs without complaints. I was just telling George that one of my insurance companies called me from the United States like 2 days ago, and they actually said Salamat po at the end. They were Filipino, and they worked
Yeah.
they were the insurance officer that I was dealing with, and I think she said she was from Baguio. So it was really, she's like, what part are you? And I've been in Angel City near Clark Base. And I said, that's exactly where we're at. And she's like, oh, okay. So, it's just amazing, the amount of work they actually do.
Because when I was dealing with a technician for my website, which is, www.chiliansoul.com, I had a Filipino technician helping me, and he was in the Philippines. And I knew because roosters was crowing in the background.
Oh, I hope so. And we also hope that we can bring you in on a live. We get extremely busy and everything, but
Sure.
but man, George knows that I sing your songs, and we will play your song today in the opening of our
Play
live,
my
man.
song.
And
it was inspired by that beautiful Filipino that you see on the screen.
Hey, I'm in love with her too. So George knows that. I like this and that. And but we're going to put all the links to everything, your Facebook, your company, your YouTube pages or your YouTube channels. And also we're going to put, of course, your model and your girl on your CD because I've actually looked her account up and everything. So we're going to get all that in. Guys, be sure to check out Imperial Brown, his music. Oh, and a quick shout out for your Fanbase?
Fanbase, yeah. Please
Quick
join. Download the Fanbase app. It's free.
Correct.
Set up a profile for free. Search for Geechee Lion Music and follow us for free. I'm going to be doing my daily karaoke there.
There you go. So guys, check them out, and we do appreciate you joining us. And what do you want to say? Have your pet spayed and neutered, and what is your saying, George?
What are y'all talking about there? What is that?
And have your wife neutered, or is that spayed? We're gonna edit this. We're gonna edit that out. Edit. But
no, crazy. Outtake. Play that outtake.
There you go.
All right, sir. We do appreciate you being here, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Is there a place with sun all year round and pina coladas with pretty faces and sand on the ground? I want to stop this ongoing train before I lose my mind and go insane. I don't want to sleep every night. I want to light a spark in the dark. I don't want to say I'm okay, living the same every day. Come run beside me, let's take off. Let's leave this place for another place.